Three, two, one. Well, hello there, and welcome to another training video from K-Talk. My name is Karen Burgoyne, and I'm the CEO, founder, director of this actual business. This training video is called Hoarding and Obsessive Behaviours, and I'm very sure that you may know someone or have associated with someone in the past that has had this type of behaviour in their autism life. But for now, let's get on with the presentation. The topics of discussion in this video are hoarding and obsessive behaviours, providing positive strategies for diverting them, autistic children, teens or adults, away from that behaviour, and then contacting me. Hoarding and obsessive behaviours are more common in autistic children than in neurotypical children, though they are not diagnostic criteria for autism itself. These behaviours can manifest as difficulty discarding possessions, a need for emotional support from items, and collecting items related to special interests. Factors like sensory sensitivities, executive function deficits, and cognitive rigidity can contribute to hoarding tendencies in autistic individuals. Hoarding behaviours can often co-occur with anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, in autistic children, teens, or even adults. Sensory processing difficulties, executive function deficits, difficulty with planning, organisation, and discarding, which is also associated with comprehension and imagination impairment, and cognitive inflexibility can all contribute to hoarding in autistic individuals. Hoarding may be a way for autistic individuals to manage stress, find comfort, or regulate emotions. Hoarding can lead to socialization, heightened anxiety, and even depression. Now, I found when I was quite young, I was quite depressed, and I had a lot of social isolation when I was young because I had no friends, and I simply didn't know what to do or how to go out and make those friends and enjoy myself and enjoy my time with my friends, even in primary school or even high school. So I just decided to start collecting things, and here's my story in the next few slides. For me, back in the late 1980s, Swatch watches came out, and they were only $30 or $30 at the time here in Australia. While I was fascinated with watches, I was also fascinated with clocks as well, the mechanics of them all. My other hoarding fantasy came from having so many email addresses over time in my past life. I still have now the second one from the top. I have that and I treasure that, as this is a very rare Swatch watch, but I don't have many watches at all. I tend to wear an Apple Watch now for many health reasons. When a new one came out, I just go and buy it, regardless of my dole money that was in the bank. I just go and spend it the way I like to, as I had no recollection of knowing what money was for and how to spend it or save it efficiently or effectively back in those days. The old ones I used to give to the kids around the corner, who turned out to be lifelong friends for a while after that. As I had no friends at the time, I'd always be round at Mary's place, making myself at home in their house, which seemed to be okay, as they didn't mind that. They never told me off at any time, so I'd feel comfortable in their home and there was no judgment anywhere. Nothing. I would be the one to babysit their kids when they were younger, and I'd met their kids at a primary school I was working at the time, doing a youth traineeship program. But that's another story to tell later on. So these kids dragged me back to their place and introduced me to their mother. And then all of a sudden I found that I had some associations back then. And that was good. I think these kids did me the world of good back then. My other hoarding experiences was email addresses. I think I've had so many, it wouldn't be funny. In 2003, I'd have myway.com, inbox.com, lycos.com, hotmail.com, yahoo.com, and several domain names. It would be atrocious and outrageous. I couldn't keep up with them all. It was just so ridiculous, absolutely ludicrous. But was the first format that MSN brought out back then, and it only came with a calendar and contacts. But the internet was quite slow back in 1996 when I first set up my email address. And I remember having klb8@hotmail.com. It's probably gone now, but that's the one I use. But I never check my email as more frequently as what I do now on my phone, or if I'm home on a computer or on my iPad. I have my emails with me every day on my phone. I check them all on the go, all day, every day. And while I'm away, I try and take breaks for my business one if I can, if it's possible. Something told inside of me that I was quite mad and I shouldn't have quite so many of them. I think it was my gut intuition doing that, without me even knowing that I didn't even have a gut intuition back then. I ended up shutting them all down bar a few, and got used to only having a few of them instead of 5 or 10 email addresses. The domain name I first had in 2003 was tripleknet.net, and I'd receive emails to ask if I belonged to the Ku Klux Klan and could they join my group. That was taken down immediately. I was also so obsessed with the initials of my birth names. So this here was a Horde webmail interface. It was part of cPanel, which is control panel, which you receive once you sign up with a hosting or web package for your domain name, so you can host your website on the internet. And Horde and Squirrel Mail were two applications that were present, and Roundcube, and now they only use Roundcube as the very basic domain name email, but it has no functionality like Office 365 or Google Workspace. But this one was my favorite one. When I had it, I always used to use it. I used to love it. It was my favorite one of all time. But I was quite sad when cPanel discontinued it because it was at its end of its life and no software updates could be performed with that. So that software was deleted or removed from the cPanel interface. So continuing on, having an email address of KK or double K, double L, KL, KL at yahoo.com.au was ridiculous. But this was the autistic behaviour that I'd had at the time, and I'd also had this in 2003. But I'd also constantly changed my email addresses, and people got really peeved off or cheesed off at me for changing them so quickly and frequently. It's no wonder that I'd lost quite a few contacts back in those days. But I've kept a domain name for myself, and that's what I've had as my business name, KTalk. Over time and over the years, I've kept up with quite a lot of people via email, and that inbox has served as one of the greatest ways of communication for me. Now, my friends use my private Outlook account, my inbox, and I keep up to date with many people using that email address. And a friend of mine who I'd met in 2000 taught me that email was to be a good part of communication of life. So I started to use it, and I started to go to the library a lot more frequently and a lot more quickly to check my emails. But then once we got the internet at home and a computer, I didn't do that. But sometimes I still go to the library just for a visit, just to do things. Speaker@ktalk.org was my first email address for my business, as I couldn't think of a suitable one at the time. Someone suggested that I have my name there, and like Karen@ktalk.org. Then I'd like mail@ktalk.org. But then someone else gave me the impression that that wasn't good, but thought that I should have a username of info. So that's what I've got now today as a business email address. When Gmail came out, and somebody had mentioned it in the classroom one day when I was doing a uni course, my ears pricked up. So I went about setting up and closing down all of those as well. I think Gmail was only for invites, um, people having invitations to set up a Gmail address to try it out. But now you can just go and get an email address as well. I've had some really good email names, but silly me thought, nah, I don't need this account. But I wish that I'd kept some of them in the first place. I've had some really good usernames from Gmail, and you can't get them back once you close them down. Studies suggest that approximately 25% of autistic children exhibit hoarding behaviours compared to only 2 to 5% of neurotypical children. Hoarding often co-occurs with other conditions like anxiety and OCD, particularly in children. But this can also occur in adults later in life also. Family members can also do this if they're obsessed with their favourite things, and they can be hard to part with in many ways. Difficulties with planning, organisation, and decision making can contribute to hoarding by making it very challenging to discard unnecessary items or develop strategies for managing possessions. Autistic individuals may exhibit cognitive rigidity, finding it difficult to adapt to change or think flexibly about the need to discard possessions. Strategies for autistic students who hoard items involve a combination of understanding the underlying reasons, implementing practical organisational techniques, and addressing potential anxiety or emotional factors. Open communication, practice, and a non-judgmental approach are critical and crucial for success. Hoarding can serve as a coping mechanism for managing stress, anxiety, or other challenging emotions. Autistic individuals may collect items related to their special interest and finding comfort and enjoyment in these collections, depending on what they are. Some individuals struggle to let go of possessions due to a fear of losing something important or a belief that items may be needed in the future. Living spaces can become cluttered and unmanageable and impacting the individual's ability to function effectively at home and in other environments. Logical strategies for teachers. Define storage. Implement a structure storage system with labeled bins and containers to create a visual representation of where items belong. Timing and pace. Break down decluttering in smaller, manageable steps to avoid overwhelming the individual. Sorting. Use different colored boxes or bags to sort items into categories like keep, donate, and discard or trash. Visual aids. Use visual schedules and checklists to guide the decluttering process and create a sense of predictability. Positive reinforcement. Reward progress with positive feedback and small incentives to encourage participation. Communication and support. Create a safe space for open and honest communication about feelings related to hoarding. Person-centered approach. Tailor strategies to individual specific needs and preferences. Patience and consistency. Hoarding is a complex issue, and it takes time and consistency to make progress. Seek professional help. Consult with a therapist or psychologist specializing in hoarding disorder and autism. Consider cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to address the underlying emotional and thought patterns associated with hoarding. So here are my contact details. Please, as I said, please like or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please post some comments about this, or please contact me via the website to see if I can assist you with any other courses that are on offer that I've written and developed that may be of use or benefit to you. Thanks for watching. That's the end of this presentation. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.